So there's no script to today's video. I'm just going to be speaking right from the heart, sharing with you guys that this is actually our official video announcement that we're going to be moving. We're going to be leaving the state of California. Now, very first thing I want to mention, just want to clarify that this is by no means an easy decision. This is actually very difficult, even though this might seem kind of like shocking and unexpected. This is something we've been struggling with for quite some time, and a lot of thought and a lot of prayer has gone into this, but now I'm feeling more confident that this is going to be the right decision for me and my family. But yeah, it is not easy. If you're somebody that's been thinking about leaving California, I know a lot of people are, there's a lot of parts to it. I mean, we have literally been here our entire lives. My wife's family is here, my family is here, and our closest friends that we've been with for years, they're here, and saying goodbye is not easy at all. It's very difficult. As a matter of fact, my job is here, and the church that we've been a part of for literally decades is here as well, and we're saying goodbye to all of that. But like I said, there's been several things that have kind of come together and we feel like this is the right decision for us. And we actually purchased a home, so this is going to be our last month here in California, and we're going to be moving to Houston, Texas, to the new home that we purchased. I'm just going to be sharing with you guys, like I said, just talking, just no script, where we're at and why it is that we're going to be leaving California. And there's a couple little things, but just to clarify, this is not a bashing California video. There's a lot of perks and benefits to California. And if you're somebody thinking about leaving, definitely give this some thought, because there's a lot to it. And I'd say there's probably a lot of little things, but there's just really one major thing I'd say that's really encouraging us to go out and start this new chapter. And also, some of the perks that we're starting to see are there for moving to Texas. And like I said, just going to share with you guys, for any friends or family or anybody from the viewing community that's interested, or why it is that right now I feel like it's the best move for me and my family right now at this time, even though it's very difficult to leave the state of California and for us to start a new chapter in our lives in Houston, Texas. Now, like I said, there's a lot of little things, like the taxes, the price of the real estate, the price of living here, the crime. There's a lot of things like that, but honestly, they're not enough probably to push me out. The major thing I'd say that has really encouraged us to go is my issue with my asthma and my breathing and all of the forest fires that have been going on. And you'll recall last year, it was crazy. It was really bad. The entire West Coast, not just California, was on fire. And it was like a fog with all of the smoke. The skies were red and it was raining ash. You come out of your house and there was literally, it looked like snow on the grass, on the streets, on the vehicles from all the ash from all of the fires. And I had a really hard time with my breathing. And my kids were starting to develop breathing issues as well. And it really makes you take a step back and ask yourself, do I really want to be here for this? I mean, especially too, the scientists said that whether it's global warming or whether it's just mismanagement of the forestry, whatever the case is, they said even if we start taking the steps to fix this right now, this is probably going to continue to happen here on the West Coast for over the course of the next decade. And, you know, I talked to my wife about it, and it made me just step back and say, I don't think I want to be here for this. I want a better quality of life for breathing and environment for myself and my kids. So I took a look at the wind patterns, and it turns out there was only a few areas where the smoke didn't hit. Because as you recall, the smoke was so bad it blew all over the nation. And one of those was Houston. And I know that Houston's got its own set of problems, but I figure like wherever you go, you got to figure out what it is you got to deal with. And Houston, it's humidity and heat and hurricanes. And I just feel like I'd rather deal with that than deal with this dry heat and all these fires and smoke for the next decade. And also, the doctors told me too that some humidity might do me some good with my lungs and my breathing issues. So that was probably the major thing. And as I mentioned, there's also a couple of other small things that just kind of came together and made sense for us. And one of the things was the cost of living and real estate, which Texas is way more affordable than California, but pretty much everywhere is more affordable than California. And we're actually in Sacramento, which is not even the worst of it. You got LA, San Diego, and the worst is the Bay Area, where the average house is $1.4 million. And just to let you know, like, so you can understand like our scenario, the last house that we own here in Sacramento, we currently rent because I'm a real estate investor, and to me the numbers just, it didn't make sense. The last house that we owned that we lived in was a 2,400 square foot home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a low crime area in the outskirts of Sacramento. And that home just recently sold for $550,000. Well, we just purchased this home out in Houston, and it is in a zero crime area. It's gated, it's blocked off, secluded. It's got security guards that watch it with cameras. It's got its own app, so that way you can see what's going on in the community. It's blocked by a levee, so our particular home is not in a flood zone area. And it's also got a golf course, a rec center, a pool for all the residents in the community. And it's about 10, 20, 30 minutes away from different piers and beaches in Houston. And the home itself is actually one of the smaller homes in the community. Turns out the real estate is bigger in Texas because the average home there is like 5,000 or 4,000 square feet. Ours is 3,400 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, beautiful home. And we got this home for $380,000. So significantly more affordable. And in addition to that, just like the gas, the groceries, all that stuff's more affordable. And also, you guys know we're very entrepreneurial. We've got our small businesses and things like that. The taxes, there's no state income tax in Texas. Whereas here in California, we pay a lot in taxes, and they're not necessarily business and entrepreneur friendly. So we're literally going to be saving like tens of thousands of dollars just to move. It's like getting paid to move. So that's one of the things that we also were thinking was one of the perks. And also my job situation. You guys know that we've got all these other side businesses and things, and it's gotten to the point where God has blessed us significantly, and I'm finally to a place where I can just leave my work if necessary. And I've got nothing bad to say about them. I've been with my employer, my team, for like 11 years, and I've really enjoyed it. And I actually left the door open, but we kind of mutually agreed that it just didn't make sense for me to work remotely. A lot of my work requires that I'm present. But since I feel like God has opened that door for us with the ability to move on, and I can just focus on the real estate or the YouTube or some of our other online stores, that we wanted to go ahead and go with that. So things just kind of started coming together for us, and it just started making sense. And there was actually one more thing that's kind of important that I wanted to mention. And I'm going to share this with you, and some people might agree with me, and you might think that this is maybe direction or guidance from God, and some of you might think that I'm crazy. But whatever the case is, like I said, we're just talking. I'm just being open and honest with you guys about everything. And that is that we have been praying about this, and we have been like, God, if this is your will, open up the door for us wide so we know when we go through. And if it's not, please slam the doors shut so that way we don't go in the wrong direction. And Houston, Texas is kind of random because we don't have any friends or family there. Before this, I actually had never even been there, and if you asked me to find it on a map, I probably couldn't do it. But the reason why we thought of that was, turns out about 3 years ago, I actually had this dream, and it has stuck out in my head, and it was kind of like a seed planted in my mind that's kind of grown with time, and we've looked more into it because of this dream. And the dream was that I was in the house looking for my wife, and I had to tell her something really important, but I didn't know what it was. And when I found her, we were facing each other, and I spoke. But the funny thing is, it was like my mouth was being controlled by somebody else. It was like speaking on its own, and I couldn't control it. And my thoughts and my words were something entirely different. And my mouth immediately spoke to my wife and said, "Pack your bags. We're moving out of California. We're moving out of state." And my wife responded and said, "What? We're moving out of state. Where are we going?" And when she said that, I was asking myself the same thing. It was like, I don't know why I said this. But then my mouth, it was like it was being controlled by somebody else. And before I could say, like, I don't know why I said that, my mouth immediately responded with such confidence and said, "Houston, Texas. We're moving to Houston, Texas." And I was actually like shocked I was actually kind of happy at how confidently I responded back. But my wife immediately responded again and asked, "Houston, Texas? Why are we going to Houston, Texas? What's in Houston, Texas for us?" To which, again, I had the exact same question in my mind, but my mouth responded without missing a beat very confidently and said, "Our future is in Houston, Texas. We need to go to Houston, Texas." And so that was pretty much the dream. And I thought it was really strange. And, you kind of ask yourself, like, did I just eat like a burrito too late the night before and I had a strange dream? But when I told my wife, she told me later that she still remembers when I told her that next morning, and she just had this feeling deep down inside of her that we were going to eventually end up moving to Houston. And then as things have come together over the past couple years with the fires, with the real estate, with the cost of living, with our businesses, and all the situations coming together, we did some research on it, and it just kind of started to make sense. And we just kind of were wondering, like, I know some people in here are religious, others aren't. If maybe God had a hand in this, in guiding us, maybe giving us the answer before we even asked the question. And so, like I said, we've thought a lot about it and prayed a lot about it, and we just kind of feel like this might be God's will. The next chapter of our lives is going to be in Texas. And you know what? I just figured, like, it's not an easy thing to do, but we want to head out. We want to get out of this smoke. So we decided, you know what? Let's go for it. Let's try this out. So that's currently where we're at with everything. This is our official video announcement that we're going to be leaving California and going to Texas. And just wanted to share this with all of our friends and family and viewing community and let you guys know. And I'll keep you up to date on how things go. Like, who knows? Maybe I'm totally wrong and things fall apart. If so, I'll share them with you guys. But maybe things go really well and this is God's will. And I'll keep you guys up to date either way. But wanted to let you guys know. And also, if you see a couple uploads missed in late June or early July, it's probably because we're moving. I'm just got a million things going on. But just wanted to share that with you guys. I'll keep you up to date and just say God bless. And I'll catch you in the next video. Take care. This is Steve.